I once read that you needed to fall 100 times before the gods of snowboarding granted you the ability to ride. In Mark McMorris Infinite Air, that sentiment is beyond true, as after thousands of falls, I'm still learning the best way to whip down the mountain. It is a simulation snowboarding game that lets go of your hands right after pushing you off of the ski lift and onto the bunny hill. There's lots to learn in literally infinite air and snow to study. At its most basic, Infinite Air is about performing tricks on your waxed plastic board, both in the air and on rails. You will grab, spin, flip, and slide your way through developer and user-created courses. You may follow the game's circuit mode through various backcountry, slopestyle, and halfpipe tracks, completing various objectives. This allows you to unlock new cosmetic gear for your custom rider, or unlock new real-life pros to play as. Alternatively, you can forego the usual path and jump straight into the open mountain, where you will be able to customize the entire thing and compete against other players online to get the highest scores on created runs. Both are fun, and there's no actual leveling up your character stats, so if you just wanted to shred with friends, then there's no real reason why you shouldn't. It's only different hats, pants, and jackets that you're missing out on, other than a steady difficulty increase to slowly teach you how to play. Speaking of difficulty, Mark McMorris Infinite Air is a tough game to learn, and an even harder one to master, if there is such a thing. The controls initially come off as clunky and awkward, but again, this is a simulation. The inputs are intended to give you the most control over your board and rider as possible. Unlike many games of the modern era, there isn't a standard control scheme that all extreme sports games abide. That means that to effectively learn to play Infinite Air, I had to unlearn my muscle memory and ignore my instincts that I had developed playing other similar games like SSX and Skate. You don't have the same air control as you would in an arcade game, so flips off of every jump aren't always encouraged. It is better to land tricks cleanly and consistently than it is to risk everything on an insane quadruple rodeo and crash, ruining your whole run. And besides, there's something magical to sliding down the hill on your perfect line and nailing several tricks in a row. Once I stopped trying to make Infinite Air handle like other games that had come before, I had a much better time and the doors of wintry fun were blasted open. It isn't perfect, as aerial control is still finicky, and going extremely fast or extremely slow really shows the flaws in the simulation-style controls and physics. You will unfortunately find yourself either at a complete standstill with no choice but to restart a run, or moving so quickly that the slightest turn will send you shooting way past your intended direction. It can be frustrating to barely nick an obstacle and bail, only to reset your character and have them appear in the exact same spot, only to fall again. The most distinctive feature in the game is the ability to mold the mountain to your liking, create runs on your custom terrain, and then upload them to share with other players online. The creation tools are vast and powerful, with the ability to shape the slope and angle of the mountain with the objects you place. You can thin trees and sculpt snow pretty much to your heart's content, and it's this feature that could breathe eternal life into Infinite Air. While the specific objects you may place are limited, there is definitely enough there to make a mountain yours. Diehards will craft the entire summit, while the curious may only add a jump here and a rail there. But the meticulous creation tools are available to you from the start and are relatively simple and intuitive. I do wish that it took longer to get from the peak to the base though. It usually only takes around 5 minutes, and it'll be interesting to see if players are invested enough to create a way around that limitation. Mark McMorris Infinite Air has graphics that are solid and capable, but it's nothing that will win awards. You won't really notice them after a while, since you'll mostly be focused on your spinning character's landing zone, but the visuals lack a lot of additional flair. Snow falls serenely but subtly, and there is no day or night cycle to change up the weather. What you see is what you get, so if you're looking for something that is pushing the limits of current visuals, I'd lower your expectations into a more reasonable, capable area. The biggest oddity is that placed objects just look glued onto the snow with no continuity. The graphics don't commit any major sins, but aside from the awesome trick animations, there's not much that deserves a special mention. The audio department took the idea of quality over quantity to heart, as the soundtrack is varied and interesting, and is one of the most surprising areas of the game. There are songs from many different genres on display here, including a slow pop ballad, and it works well. Unfortunately, the number of songs is rather limited, but it's no big deal to just turn the music down and put your own tunes on instead. So here's the real deal. Mark McMorris Infinite Air is a difficult game. It's also not one that can be blown through in a weekend, but rather one that should be practiced over time, just like any craft worth learning. Underneath the initial impression of a rough but average snowboarding title is a surprisingly fun and deep simulation that will put off many, but will keep a dedicated few coming back all through the off-season. If you're into the sport and are looking for a new slope to live on, consider Infinite Air. But be warned, it's not for the weak of will, and certainly not for those who have no love for the snow. Mark McMorris Infinite Air is currently available on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. And now for the fun part, disclaimers. I reached out to the developer Maximum Games, and they were kind enough to provide me the review build of the game. At no point whatsoever did they ask me for a positive review, nor did they offer me any kind of compensation for positive feedback to their game. I do not feel that this has altered my opinion or review of the game in any way, but I want to be honest and let you know that I did not actually purchase Infinite Air to review it. Another disclaimer is that I am in love with snowboarding games and have been very excited to get my hands on one for a long time. With those things being said, I stand by my review and always encourage viewers to do their own research to determine if any game is right for them.